Welcome back, everyone. Dustin here again, Average Guy Hi-Fi. I've got another subwoofer review for you guys, and this is one that I've been kind of waiting for. I'm just waiting for the right deal to pop up, and what I have here is a Rythmik F15HP subwoofer. So, those of you familiar, everybody knows SVS, everybody knows like Martin Logan, all the big kind of brands out there, but there are some really kind of, I wouldn't call them boutique anymore, subwoofer manufacturers that really do a very good job, like PSA, like Rhythmic, like Funk Audio. There's some really good ones out there, and this is no exception. Rhythmic makes fantastic subwoofers, about as good as you can get for the price. At price point, I would say. It's going into a store and trying to buy anything that produces the amount of bass this thing produces anywhere near the MSRP pricing of $1,282 would be very difficult. So, and that's kind of what they're known for. You know, like their big competitors, I would say, are PSA, it's SVS, it's you know, like JTR and things like that. They start getting a little bit on the real high end for dedicated theaters. But for people that have houses where you're doing living rooms, and even you can have dedicated theaters and have SVS and Rhythmic. But nowadays, if you ask for advice online, you're like, hey, what subwoofer should I put in my theater? Everybody's going to say basically 4 18-inch subwoofers, which, you know, that doesn't work for me. But that doesn't mean that you can't get really good performance in more compact subwoofers. This right here is not the most compact subwoofer in the world, but it is a 15-inch subwoofer. So the box dimensions are, it's about 19 inches wide, it's about 19 inches tall, and then it's about 20 inches deep with the plate amplifier, and it's about 21.5 inches deep with the grille still on there. So again, it's not a compact subwoofer by any means, but it is a very high output subwoofer for its size. It's about as good as you're gonna be able to get with this compact of a size. I wish I could show you guys this, but it's actually, I'm using a Polk Audio 505 12-inch subwoofer as a stand right now with my little turntable on there, and it just dwarfs that thing, and that's not a small sub. Anyway, if you have like a significant other at home that it really has input on design, then sometimes these subs are a little bit more difficult, but just let them know. This is about as compact as you're going to be able to get. It's basically the same size as the SVS SB16 Ultra, which, by the way, I grabbed one of those also. I wish I could do a side-by-side comparison, but my place is just too small, so the Rhythmic needs to go. The SVS is sitting at Best Buy right now, just waiting for me to try to figure out how to pick it up. So it's 120 pounds. I'm going to try to load it to my car by myself, if I can fit it in my car. So I'm working out those details. So that'll be one of the next reviews. But anyway, this subwoofer, the Rythmik F15HP, is about the same size as that SVS SB16 Ultra. Sorry, these model numbers kind of drive me crazy sometimes. But this subwoofer has a 600 watt direct servo amplifier, which is right there, so you guys can see it. Lots of different adjustments on these things. This is going to be a subwoofer that you can really fine-tune it to your system. Rhythmic gives you all the options. There's a kind of a general setup guide where it will let you know how to set it up with a Marantz, or let you know how to set up Denon's the same setting because they use Odyssey. But it gives you kind of an easy entryway to get it all set up and easy instructions and everything. But it has a frequency response of 14 hertz to 200 hertz with the LFE input. And it weighs about, I couldn't find the exact weight of it, but it weighs right around 100 pounds. The shipping weight with the carton and everything was 108 pounds, so I took off 8 to 10 pounds and said 98 pounds for for how much it weighs. So, you know, carrying this thing in and put it in my car, it's already sold, so don't reach out to me and see if you can buy this thing. But it does have some condition issues. Now we'll just jump right into it. I got a killer deal in this subwoofer, but I had to end up driving almost all the way up to the Canada border to go grab it up in Bellingham. I'm in the Seattle area, but it's about an hour and a half drive. So this deal popped up on Facebook Marketplace. He was asking $600. I threw out $500 because of the condition issues. So the cabinet does have, it'll be really hard for you to tell because it's pretty minor, but it has a chip there. There's a little bit of a mark on top. There's another chip over here, kind of a little chip down below. In place, it looks fine, but I just want to be totally upfront with you guys. This is one of the bigger marks here. You can probably see that one. Has kind of a worn through part on the plastic coating on it. But the big boneheaded mistake that I made was when I was hooking up my new Marantz. Oh, that'll be another video too. I got a Marantz SR7013, which I'm really excited about. But when I was hooking that up, I dropped a HDMI cable and it put a little ding right in the driver. I'm usually very good about that type of stuff, and it just drives me crazy. But still, it's an amazing deal. It's a $1,280 MSRP subwoofer, and I ended up grabbing it for $500. But again, it took time. I had to drive up there and drive back and get it loaded in and loaded out. So it's a lot of work on my end to do that. But for the deal, I mean, $500 to touch the performance that this subwoofer offers, even with the imperfections and everything that I just mentioned, it's going to be about as good as you're going to be able to do, especially for a newer subwoofer. You can sometimes find deals on older Velodynes and things like that, but then you have to worry about the age of the plate amps and the capacitors and all the other things that are involved in that. So super thrilled with this purchase. I just wanted to bring it home. I have the F15HP in my storage locker, so I'd missed Rhythmic subwoofers. And again, I'm a bit of a fanboy when it comes to Rhythmic. If you ask advice online, a lot of people just tell you what they own, and everybody owns SBS right now. So hey, what subwoofer should I put in my home theater? And these are the size. And everybody will be like SBS, SBS, SBS. And then sometimes it'll be JTR or, all the other really big ones. But I've always been, hey, don't forget about Rhythmic. At least give them an opportunity. Check out their website. The owner's fantastic. He answered a lot of my questions when I bought that FV15HP, which again, I still have, if that tells you anything, how much I like this brand of subwoofers. And it'll be really interesting for me to try to figure out how this compares to that SB16 Ultra. And again, I wish I had room to test both side by side, but this place is just too small for me to do that. So this subwoofer will be moving out and the SVS will be coming in. But before that, I'm going to show you this in action. I decided to basically mix it up with the movies a little bit for a particular reason, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So let's take a look at this movie. It's Black Panther 4K, just a phenomenal soundtrack, great movie. Let's check that out. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that demo. Black Panther is a great movie. Always enjoyed the Marvel movies, but mainly it was just because of Chadwick Boseman's passing. That just a young guy passing away of cancer, so just thought it'd be a nice little tribute to mix it up a little bit, give you guys a little bit of a different movie. I got a lot of respect for the way that he dealt with it, too. He wasn't out in the public eye, anything like that. He just kind of handled it with his family, and his friends kind of kept that pretty tight-knit. So there's a lot of respect that goes along with that, especially these days with everybody trying to get famous and get more popularity. There's something to that, just dealing it with your family. So my thoughts and prayers out to their family. So again, great movie. Pick it up. 4K, just fantastic visuals, killer bass, that train scene, which is what I was playing there. Just a really, really good low impact on that scene. Just love that scene. So now we're on to my favorite part of the videos, which is the Average Guy Hi-Fi scoring section of it. This is where we give you the 5 categories. And when it comes to subwoofers, the 5 categories are going to be quality, just how the cabinet is constructed, the amplifier, woofer, those type of things. Then we go into bass response, which most people really care the most about. And I'm trying to figure out a way to give you more scoring for the audio performance of the speakers and the subwoofers. Haven't quite figured that out yet, but we'll be making tweaks here and there. The next category is going to be the MSRP pricing, kind of where it stacked up to the competition. Then it comes down to the aesthetics, how it looked in my room. And then it comes down to my price paid. Each category is worth 10 points, 10 being the best. And then we give you guys the Average Guy Hi-Fi score at the end. So we'll just jump right into it. There's not going to be a shocker here. I love this subwoofer. I love SBS. I love Rhythmic. I think that people parrot too much what they own on, and it's easy to do it. I find myself doing it as well too, but do some research with these things, because if you're trying to make a decision on going with this subwoofer or a SB13 Ultra or even the SB16 Ultra, just do your reading on them. Servo-controlled subwoofers are a little bit different, a little bit more accurate, I would say. And again, check out that link in there from Paul from PS Audio. He has a much better way of describing it than I ever could. So from a quality standpoint, I gave this subwoofer a 9 out of 10. Overall, the woofer, the anodized 15-inch woofer, the plate amplifier with all the different settings that you can really get this thing customized in your room. The cabinet, weighing in at around 100 pounds for a 15-inch woofer. This is a stout cabinet, internal bracing. I've actually seen the inside of one of these. I was doing a little research on it. Just a very well-built subwoofer. 9 out of 10 quality. When it comes to the bass response, 9.5 out of 10. This right now, I've tested some pretty amazing subwoofers. The Shure subwoofer that I tested, the SVS subwoofers that I've tested, this has actually been my favorite so far. Now, there could be different form factors that if you like the cylinder subwoofer that I just tested from SVS, if you like the big Velodyne with the gloss finish and all that type of stuff, you have options, and all of them are very good subwoofers, are going to meet and exceed your expectations in most rooms. Now, if you're trying to fill a cavernous space with just tons and tons of bass, then maybe you need duals, but for the quality the subwoofer puts out, the deep bass, the rumbles, the floor, again, my room, I got it pretty well rattle-proof, but this subwoofer brought out new rattles, and what that's showing me is that it's digging deeper than any other subwoofer that I've had in this room, because I generally try to fix the rattles as I go, and this one found new ones. That's always a good sign. So I'm on a suspended floor, and literally the floor was moving around. The impact, everything is just phenomenal. 9.5 out of 10 when it comes to bass. I was expecting it to have a very high score, and it definitely met my expectations there. When it comes to the MSRP value, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Still a very good score, but with brands like Shure out there, they have the ULF 15 MK2, which would be a competitor to this thing. That's going to have pretty similar output. This one does have the slight edge, but that Shure subwoofer kind of comes in a little bit less money. At $1,282, this is not an inexpensive subwoofer, but to give you an idea of what this would, like if you went to Best Buy to go buy maybe a Martin Logan subwoofer, this would be around the same price point as their 1100 subwoofer, I believe is what it is, which is a little over $1,000, just to give you an idea. And this right here will probably have the output of 2 of those. I would, maybe not the even bass response that 2 would give you, but dig lower than those 2 Martin Logan subwoofers, just to give you a little bit of an example there. So 8.5 out of 10 when it comes to the MSRP pricing. Very good price. About as good as you can get, but there are brands that can kind of undercut it a little bit, especially since this has been out for a little while longer at this point. So hopefully Rhythmic will keep putting out new subs. They're always updating their list there, and again, I'm a big Rhythmic fan. So again, a little bit of a fanboy. Hopefully I'm not gushing too much. The aesthetics, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Nothing wrong with the looks of it. It actually does a very good job for a 15-inch woofer for not looking too out of place or too large. It's about as compact as you can get to get the performance that you get out of this thing, so a lot of respect goes out to that. I like the durable plastic coating that this one has. You could also get a wood grain finish, which I would probably prefer, I would say. But from a durability standpoint, the previous owner didn't treat the subwoofer all that well. There's little dings, like I mentioned earlier, that if it had a wood grain, then it would definitely be more affected by the way it was treated than this. So there is something cool about these plastic finishes that they put on these subwoofers. They're just a little bit more durable. But if you're very careful with your equipment, you're unboxing it in your room and you're setting it in place, I like the wood grain finish. So 8.5 out of 10 with the aesthetics. I love the black anodized woofer. I think it's beautiful, even though I put that darn ding in there. Still bugs me about that. Usually very careful, but that cable just slipped out of my hands, and of course it hit right on the woofer. So, but I just love the looks of this thing. 8.5 out of 10. When it comes to my price paid, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 as well. $500 for a $1,282 Rhythmic subwoofer is a phenomenal deal no matter what. So anybody out there, actually the person I believe is going to be buying this from me, if you're just looking from a performance standpoint, without building your own subwoofers, it'd be really hard to beat $500 for a subwoofer of this capacity. It'll pressurize your room. It'll give you that impact. It'll give you everything. And $500 doesn't really get you anything when you go in. You can get some nice subwoofers around that price point, but usually it's better to get them on sale so you can kind of up the ante a little bit, because those subwoofers that have the little 12-inch woofers and the ported versions, kind of the more entry-level subwoofers, there are compromises there. This one is kind of a no-compromise subwoofer. Maybe the size, if you want a little bit bigger. They make bigger ported versions and things like that. But just from a price paid, 8.5 out of 10. I did have to detract because I drove 3 hours round trip to get it, and then plus the cosmetic issues, the minor cosmetic issues that I was mentioning about it, but still a killer score. So quality 9, bass response 9.5, the MSRP price 8.5, the aesthetics I gave it an 8.5, and the price paid I gave it an 8.5. That averages out to a 44 out of 50, which is an 88% average guy hi-fi score. This is one of the best performing subwoofers I've tested. It's going to be very interesting to see how that SVS SB16 compares to that. I'm really interested in checking out the SVS app, but a lot of people don't need the app. Like me, I prefer to let my receiver kind of do the talking when it comes to the calibration and everything once I get the initial amplifier settings all going. But it's always nice to be able to tweak stuff, especially if you got a shared wall like me in a duplex where you could turn down the bass for nighttime viewing, and then you can just do it all on your phone. So that's kind of cool too. But when it comes down to just the nitty gritty, you want a subwoofer that doesn't have a whole ton of frills. There's tons of setup options on the plate amplifier, like I said. But if you just want something that's going to just give you killer performance, this really, add Rhythmic to your list. They know what they're doing there. They have well-designed subwoofers. It's well-regarded. It's a well-regarded brand. Not as big, obviously, as SBS or those type of things, but maybe they'll change one of these days. Again, my name is Dustin. The name of the channel is Average Guy Hi-Fi. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. I hit 1,400 subscribers today, so we're well on track to hit 2,000 subscribers before the first year of the channel is up. So thank you again. This has just been a wonderful ride, and I'm enjoying myself, especially with COVID going on. It's kind of giving me something to do in the nights and the evenings and when I'm driving around, when I'm off my day job. And it gives me an excuse to buy really cool speakers that I would never buy for myself. But if I can buy it for a video, record it, have some time with it, a little seat time with it, and then sell it for what I paid for it, then, just a fun little hobby. So you guys are helping support that hobby. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Thanks again.